All right, we're getting back to our Minnesota roots, cooking up a great appetizer. You could be a meal.
Oh, man. The Lost Italian literally lost. The Sorello's restaurant is joining us this morning to make some Norwegian meatballs. Also want to give a plug to his book, Party on the Prairie.
Yeah.
You get one of these over at the
Sorello's
in Moorhead.
I feel like one of Barker's beauties.
Oh, yes.
Well, they do have guys doing that now on the show.
Do they?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What are you watching?
I got my application in, but they haven't called yet.
We're mixing things up a little bit today, switching sides. Who knows what will happen?
We're just getting crazy here.
I know.
Oh, for fun.
Oh, for fun.
So what are we doing?
Norwegian meatballs. Yes.
Meatballs. Oofta.
So I even got my Norwegian colors on today. You see that?
Oh, yes.
Sort
the
of.
flag. Yep.
Yeah, sort of. So, Norwegian meatballs. I was just recently at the Scandinavian Festival in Minot. How do you say that again, Andrea? The Husfest?
Oh, the Hustfest.
Hustfest.
Or like Hustafesta.
Hustafesta,
Some
right.
locals say that.
And I had a great time, and we have a lot of fans out there who watch North Dakota today, so
Great.
that's awesome. Keep watching.
Yeah.
So I made Norwegian meatballs, and I chose Norwegian meatballs because I want to do Norwegian and cross over with Italian flair as well, okay? Norwegian meatballs are delicious, similar to Swedish meatballs.
Ah.
What's the difference
I don't
between
know.
Norwegian meatballs and Swedish meatballs?
Lutefisk is in that region.
The
I'll
sauce?
answer that question
The
at
sauce.
the end of the show.
The sauce. The
Yeah,
creamy
you're
sauce,
getting
maybe?
close.
Okay.
And also, today's Christopher Columbus Day, huh?
Yeah.
The paisan who discovered America.
Wow.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's a connection with the recipe today. Interesting.
Is
okay?
there?
So
Is
let's
there?
get started.
Okay,
Okay.
let's.
So the Norwegian meatballs.
Yeah.
Very, very simple. Easy ingredients. So we have a pound of ground beef here. All right. You can use just regular ground beef or a mix of the pork or veal or beef, whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. I like to use 85% lean. Okay. We need a little bit of fat in there. It can't be completely lean, otherwise it'll be dry.
Okay.
Who wants a dry meatball, huh?
No,
Nah.
no.
My mother would be upset. Okay, so pound of ground beef, a cup of panko breadcrumbs.
Okay.
You can use any style of breadcrumb for this. Doesn't have to be panko, but that's what I use a lot at work. 1 egg.
1 egg.
See how easy this is? 1
Yeah.
egg. All right. A little bit of milk. We have half a cup of milk. Okay. And then finely chopped onion. Just a little white onion, finely chopped. Okay.
Yep.
That's probably half a cup. Try to find the smallest onion you can. Okay.
Okay.
Now, this is what makes it Norwegian. This is what makes it different from like Italian meatballs, right?
Yeah.
You use what you have, what is local to your environment, your country. And you say here, these are the spices. So we have half a teaspoon of ground ginger, half a teaspoon of allspice, and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. Completely not Norwegian.
Can
So
I add,
here,
can I
this
add
is where the
those?
connection with Columbus is. Yeah,
Add
add it,
them
yeah.
all. Okay.
Allspice originally comes from Jamaica.
It does.
It does. So when he was traveling around the world, looking for the new land, the world is round, he landed in Jamaica and discovered this allspice. And allspice, they call it like the Jamaican black pepper, okay? Allspice is its own spice. It's not like an Asian allspice, for example. It's its own thing, its own flavor. If you were to combine nutmeg and cinnamon, those two spices, you get the flavor of allspice. It's
nice.
fantastic and terrific. And he brought it back to Europe, and it got into Scandinavia, and it became one of the staples in the Nordic seasoning for their
Nice.
food, okay? So that's the
You
connection.
can just buy it at the grocery store. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And in fact, they use it so much up in Norway and Sweden that they actually combine all those spices together in one jar and have it like a 3-in-1 because they use it so much in their cooking.
Nice.
Yeah, so there's a
Nice.
little Norwegian
Interesting.
culinary history, okay?
Okay.
So that's what makes Norwegian meatballs, that's what makes Swedish meatballs, is the introduction of the allspice, the ginger, and the nutmeg, a combination of, okay?
All right.
So simple, we mix that really good, and you want to mix it really, really good because the longer you mix protein, the longer you mix ground beef or chicken or turkey, it has more sticking properties. So sometimes you think, oh, I need the egg or I need binding ingredients for sure, but if you work it long enough, it will stick. That's just science happening right there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so when I mix the meatballs, you can use a scoop, one of these ice cream scoops, to get the size that you like, for example. Make it fun and easy. And then a little bit of water on your hands, a little bit of water on your hands so the meatballs don't stick. The meat doesn't stick, okay?
What about the salt and pepper?
Oh, we forgot the salt and pepper. Thanks, Andrea.
You're welcome.
Salt and pepper,
How much?
same amount.
The whole thing?
No,
Oh,
half
okay.
a teaspoon.
Oh, okay. Like,
Yeah, good question, huh?
Yeah.
So half a teaspoon is usually like a good pinch.
Okay, that's what I did. That's what I did.
Always season your
And
food.
then I
See?
put a little bit of extra pepper.
So when you make the meatball in your hand, you roll it. You see with the water, I don't have any of the ground beef on my hands, and it doesn't stick. All right? Because sometimes you get all that stuff in your hands, you don't like it. And you roll it, you roll it. I like to make them the size of for example, a golf ball. Because when you cook them, they're going to shrink a little bit too. And I don't like them too big. And actually in Norway, when they make their meatballs, they make them kind of like oval, like that.
Like an egg.
Like an egg almost, because when they roll it, they use a spoon to roll their meatballs.
Nice.
And sometimes they're a little flat. So depending on Norway or Sweden or Denmark, the shape of the meatball changes slightly, but not the ingredients. But because I'm an Italiano, we're going to make ours round, okay?
Yeah.
I am Norwegian by marriage, but I am 100% Sicilian. Okay, so we're going to make the round meatball. So you see right here, so for that amount, we had a pound of ground beef with those ingredients. It produces about, for that size meatball, about 25.
Okay.
So that's a good amount, right?
Perfect.
All right, so we roll the meatballs. Then what do? I like to fry the meatballs in some oil. And we're not doing that today because it just takes some time. So you fry it in vegetable oil or canola oil, which I like to use a lot of because we have #1 in North Dakota for canola oil. All right, we just want to brown them. And then when we brown them, we get this. Okay, you see that?
Ah.
Don't those look beautiful?
Yes.
And then you can probably cook them all the way through in the pan. But what I like to do is I brown them first, and then I put them in the oven for about 5 minutes, about 350, 375, just to ensure that they're all cooked through. The next step is to make the sauce. Chris, are you ready, my lord?
All right, let's do this thing.
All right, let's turn on the heat. So right inside here, we have beef broth or beef stock, okay? We have about 2 to 3 cups in here. And we want to heat it up. We want to boil it to make the sauce. This is so easy. I always get questions at the restaurant. Your sauces, how do you make sauces? Sauces kind of intimidate people, right? How do you make a sauce? Yeah. This one's really easy to make. So a good beef broth, a good chicken stock, beef stock, you can just buy this at the grocery store.
All right.
Already made, or you can use bouillon cubes and dilute them in water.
Okay.
Roux is going to be our thickening agent. And I use this a lot in my recipes. Roux is a combination of unsalted butter and flour. You cook it together, equal parts, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of butter, and you make sure it's all blended, and you can refrigerate it and introduce it, thickening soups, sauces, whatever you need to do.
You make blocks of it, right? And then just chop off whatever you need, put the rest in the freezer.
Absolutely. So I like that because it also has butter, which makes food taste
delicious.
Yes.
Thank you, my lord.
Yes.
The king, he knows.
I know. Is that what you're calling him, my lord?
So we're going to introduce 2 tablespoons of some roux. Okay, Berg?
Okay.
We want to start whisking that.
Got
and
it.
The sauce will start thickening. Okay? And this is so quickly. And then we're going to take some pepper. We're going to season a pinch of black pepper. The Norwegians like to use a lot of pepper. #1 spice in the world. Some salt. And that's going to thicken and thicken. You see that?
Yes.
I don't know if they can see that, but it's going to start thickening up right now. Look at that. It's starting to foam up beautifully. We're just going to add a little bit more of that roux. We're going to speed things up here on North Dakota today. And that's how you make the sauce. Very, very simple. Isn't that easy?
It's really easy, yeah.
And then we're going to make it more silky, smooth, and beautiful and nice. And you know what I mean? A little bit more love, a little more amore. We're going to add a little bit of cream. A little bit of cream. Maybe a 1/4 cup of cream.
Well done.
You see that sauce? Look at that, Chris. Let's show everybody at home.
That looks delicious.
See, he's got, look at that, huh?
Yeah.
The power.
The arms, the arms.
Let me taste that. Let's see what we... And how do you know when it's ready, the sauce? You want to coat the back of the spoon, okay?
So when it sticks?
It just has a nice finish on the back of the spoon. It needs to thicken a little bit more, but we're going to taste it.
Okay. A little hot.
Oh,
yeah,
delicious.
Wow.
A little more pepper. A little more pepper. And this is the final step I like to do. You don't have to do this, but the Norwegians do it. Now you introduce the meatballs back into the sauce. So you put them in there and you cook it together.
Okay.
So what happens is the flavor of the meatballs, the allspice, the ginger, the nutmeg, the onion, everything that's in the meatballs goes into the sauce, and the sauce flavors go into the meatballs.
Nice.
Just, whoa.
Ah.
Nice.
Isn't that beautiful?
All right,
Yeah.
stay with us. We're going to go bobbing for Norwegian meatballs. We come back plus some Halloween party ideas coming up next on North Dakota Today.
You betcha.